Good morning. Please be seated. All of you are requested to please be seated.
Do we begin?
Hi, Jyotika. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Good. Nice to meet you,
We'll
sir.
shorten 2 minutes. Just
2 minutes.
yeah, just 2 more minutes only. 9 o'clock. Please. It's fine. Jyotika, we hope we are audible to you.
Yes, and I hope the likewise for me.
Yes.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. We begin, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, esteemed dignitaries, and the exceptional participants of the CINS 2023 conference, it is with utmost pleasure that I extend my warmest welcome to the second day of this remarkable gathering. As we reflect on the rich discussions of yesterday, we bore witness to a splendid showcase of scientific prowess and gained invaluable insights from our esteemed luminaries. Today, we stand on the edge of history, ready to inscribe our own chapter in the realm of knowledge and prowess. In the immortal words of Sir Albert Einstein, the important thing is to never stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. With this profound wisdom as our guiding star, we embark on a new day of intellectual exploration. It is now my distinct honor to invite the illustrious Miss Sapna Sadhwani, a luminary whose vision and expertise shall without a doubt inspire and steer us through yet another day of intellectual discourse. Sapna ma'am, if you will.
Good morning, Dr. Jyotika. Dr. Jyotika Singh is the Director of Data Science at Placemaker, where she spearheads data intelligence and algorithm development to optimize profits for high revenue generating profit trees. Previously, Jyotika was heading the data science team at ICX Media, where she developed novel solutions that form the foundation of the business, culminating in multi-million dollar deals and a successful acquisition by Salient Global. At ICX Media, Jyotika led the development of proprietary ML and NLP APIs that processed social media content, resulting in the enrichment of over 85 million audience profiles, 300 million consumer profiles, and the creation of more than 700 classified predictive insights for major brands such as Sony, iHeartRadio, the US Air Force, and the HBO Max. Jyotika's impact in AI extends beyond her professional accomplishment, as evidenced by her prolific patent portfolio and the numerous invitations to speak at prestigious conferences worldwide. Her commitment to open source software has made her expertise and tools available to a global community, resulting in over 24,000 download of her Python libraries, Pi audio processing, and Pi YouTube analysis. These tools have found applications in a variety of industries, including healthcare, automotive, and academia, as well as enterprise. Jyotika's work in open source software and community engagement demonstrates her passion for advancing the field of data science and empowering others to do the same. Jyotika is a fervent advocate for promoting women in STEM, remains dedicated to supporting this cause through her mentorship efforts. She volunteers as a mentor at Data Science Nigeria, providing one-to-one guidance to young Nigerians who aspire to pursue a career in data science. Additionally, Jyotika volunteers at Women Impact Tech, providing advice on career paths and technology for aspiring individuals and peers. Jyotika's achievements in technology and data science have been recognized through multiple awards. She received the Leadership Excellence in Technology Award in 2021, the Data Science Leadership Award in 2022, and was named among the Data IQ 100 Most Influential People in Data in 2022. In 2023, Jyotika was honored as one of the top 50 women of impact, a testament to her dedication and impact in the field of technology and data science. It was an honor to introduce you, Dr. Jyotika. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the very warm introduction. I will just start sharing my screen, so I hope that looks good. So it is a great pleasure really to be speaking here today. I actually graduated from BITS Pilani Dubai campus back in 2014. So it's great to actually be speaking at a venue which is actually happening at that same place. So it's an honor. So I welcome all those tuning into the session today, as well as maybe the AI that may or may not at some point process and analyze this very keynote session, this video, maybe even every word of this presentation. So I'll try to refrain from any content, any statements that may jeopardize any chances of a potential harmonious coexistence with our future AI digital allies. But now on a serious note, AI has been very fascinating with its progression over the last few years. And so today I'll be talking about language revolution in particular, and how that has looked like over the years, and especially with NLP, natural language processing, and now with generative AI. How has the industry really transformed? Why are they using generative AI? What for? And what some of the challenges in future looks like. So I had an introduction slide, but I was introduced really well just now, so I'm going to skip most of this. But a few things that I want to highlight as why I'm talking about this topic today. Over the last 8 years to almost 10 years, I've been working in some sort of a machine learning, space. And a lot of it has had to do with text data, a lot of natural language processing. And I've also worked across different industry verticals in the past. I also actually recently wrote a book with industry applications of natural language processing across about 15 plus industry verticals, with more Python implementations as well on how to actually even implement these, projects using some of the available tools at hand for us today. So because of all the years of natural language processing and seeing how it's being actually leveraged by different players in the industry and what's really going on, it makes me passionate about the subject. So I hope I'm able to shed some light on that bit today. Also, as a thank you for inviting me to be a keynote speaker at this conference, I did want to do a free sort of giveaway of a couple of copies of my book. Here's a QR code. So for anybody who's interested, it's just going to ask you your name and email. And then once the conference ends, a couple of days after that, I'll do a random generator, and then we'll pick a few people, and then I will email the book copy to those people. So feel free to scan this, and I will also be sharing this slide deck later on Twitter, on social media, and also if there are any questions that anybody wishes to ask me about maybe what we are talking about today, really anything else. These are my social media handles for that purpose as well. Just please mention like where you heard me, because it's sometimes a little bit hard to filter through spam and actually genuine questions that are coming my way. So let's dive right into it. The outline of this sort of session would be going over high-level generative AI, NLP, sort of the transformation over the years, some big timelines, and what really happened on those, industry usage of NLP, and then transformation in the industry, especially around language data, and then we'll go into some challenges in the future. So AI enables machine to perform tasks that require human intelligence, right? That's the basic definition. And what is generative AI? I'm sure the audience knows, but just to cover our basics, really it's a class of algorithms that are designed to generate something that is new, brand new. It's not really something that it's getting directly from a past input-output pair, which is standard machine learning. And of course, there are popular tools based on generative AI like ChatGPT, Midjourney. They have become so popular, especially over the last 8 to 9 months. And there's so many applications. It's not only relevant to one thing, like not only relevant to images or text, but really it goes beyond to like audio as well as like video as well, right? So for example, generative AI can be used to automatically generate written content, as we all know it, like articles, stories, code, and then also create realistic images and like paintings and deep fakes, which is like becoming almost a problem. But then it's the same thing applies to like voice and audio, mimicking human voices, generating music or speech. You may or may not have, come across these kind of deep fakes on social media, specifically, maybe some people in, some famous people in politics, some famous countries, prime ministers singing songs that are very, very Bollywood inspired. And, sometimes it sounds so real to even hear. So that is, all of, what AI is become capable of doing today. So what is NLP? Again, NLP is natural language processing, but it's all centered around language data. And language is essentially the way humans communicate with one another. So this could be anything from like even speech, like what I'm doing right now, but then also text. And when people say NLP, more often than not, they are referring to text-based application, even though speech also is technically natural language processing. But it's the way humans communicate with one another, and it has evolved over time. So for example, let's say about 20, 25 years ago, abbreviations like LOL, BRB were not commonly used. But go back 10, 15 years, these were extremely popular, right? And let's take today, for example, and the Gen Zs and how they're different from millennials. Words like lit are used more commonly today, but that was actually not at all something that was done 10 years ago. So language evolves over time, and that's not it. It's really diverse. People may say the exact same thing in multiple different ways, even if it's like using same languages. And so there's a lot of different variety in language diversity. Even if somebody is expressing like the same emotion, so for example, happiness, there can be so many different ways in how people could be going about doing that. So language is something that's gone through evolution, diversity, and NLP is just the processing of that language, specifically when it relates to a computer. So anything from the computer counting words in a piece of text, to anything more sophisticated like ChatGPT technology, where the machine is actually able to understand an input given to it and come up with a response that makes sense. So let's talk about evolution of NLP. So some of the big points that happened across the history of time. So it was somewhere in 1950s when bag of words became a thing. So what is bag of words? It's really like a bag of words. So any sentence, how many words of how many counts of different words exist in that. So that was a pretty neat way of representing text in numbers, and that is even today some used. It's not very uncommon even today. And TF-IDF is just a step ahead of that. It's based on bag of words, but it penalizes the words that are less frequently used or very frequently used, and it also gives indication about like importance of words and so on. So it started from there. And then, in 2010s, something called word2vec came about, which is nothing but a word embedding model. And the principle behind word embedding has always been like, representing words as numerical vectors based on features that describe a word. So for example, let's take the fruit apple. So there can be different ways you could describe apple, right? The color, is it red? Is it like a food item? Is it sweet? And so on. So that is one very basic way of explaining what the principle behind word embeddings is, although the computer has its own process of figuring out what these features need to be. But that really gave a way for developers to get differences between different words and relationships which can be semantic or syntactic. So that was a really big almost breakthrough in how some of the things began to happen in NLP. And then now you were in a place where you could generate the same length of vectors for any corpus, and whereas TF-IDF, there was a little less control over that. And then around the same time frame in 2010s as well, RNNs, recurrent neural networks, specifically LSTM, came into popularity specifically with text data, because now we were in a situation where we were like, well, word order actually matters, right? It's just not the word counts, it's just not the words themselves in isolation, but other words used with that, yes, but also in what order. So the first task that this was really useful for was in text, specifically in next word prediction, knowing all these previous words, what's the word likely to come after that. So again, this was, this almost became the state of the art at a time in NLP for language-related tasks, specifically text data. So in NLP, before transformer architecture actually gained prominence, RNNs were again more profoundly the state-of-the-art models. And so if we consider a language translation task, though, a recurrent neural network would take input data to be translated one word at a time. It's taking things in sequence, and order of the word matter, but word by word translations don't always yield an accurate sentence in a different language. So while it can work great for next word prediction tasks, it may not be as good on tasks like language translation. So since it takes data sequentially, another problem was that processing large text documents became difficult to parallelize to speed up training on large data set. So that's where the transformers architecture actually was something that was able to be parallelized, and very large models were getting trained. And one of the initial tasks that it was designed for was language translation, specifically NLP. And then after that, came a wave of like large language models and generative AI as we know it today, based on the similar sort of architecture. So today, generative AI plays such a big role in NLP, right? Including chatbots, language translation, other applications like text summarization. And there's so many prominent models that we've all heard about and that have gained a lot of popularity, like GPT, which is widely used for text generation tasks. And in terms of development, a great advance that has happened is these large language models, as they sound, are really large. So there are two steps in almost creating models that can be used efficiently for a particular use case. There's a pre-training step, and then there's a fine-tuning step. So a developer today can actually take a pre-trained model and fine-tune it on their own custom data set, or actually even use a fine-tuned model, which is tuned for a particular task on a particular data set and use that for their own purposes, repurpose that. So that is one of the things that has greatly helped developers and development in the subject, is a lot of shareability that came across specifically with large language models. So who really uses NLP? Who develops NLP? Is it really just universities or like research-oriented organizations with large budgets to actually develop NLP? Well, no. So NLP finds usage across the board. In terms of just usage, even individuals today are using NLP-powered products, right? So they're using ChatGPT, other tools, and even before ChatGPT, you were using like Home Assistant, like Alexa or Google Home. Those are examples of NLP-based products. Right? So everybody is engaging with something powered by NLP at some level, but primarily for developers, it is still a lot of applications in NLP are getting developed across the board, whether it's smaller companies, larger companies, mid-sized companies, research organizations, universities. Of course, the scale varies because not everybody has the funding to be able to train really large models, but there's some form of development of NLP that's happening across the board, really popularly, totally spread out. So where would you have seen NLP in action? Yeah, ChatGPT for sure, but what else? So even before ChatGPT came out, there were a lot of NLP in action just in general, and a lot of this you would have come across as well at some point in time. And a lot of them don't really leverage large language models, right? It's based on other types of techniques. So there's a lot of NLP other than LLMs, even though today, when you hear NLP, the first thought that people are having in their minds, businesses are having in their minds is, oh, generative AI and large language models. But there's just so much more to NLP that has been there since even before ChatGPT came about. So let's look at some of different industry verticals and applications of NLP. Where is it used? Some of it you would have seen in your experience interacting with these different industry verticals, and some may be new to you. But let's look at how really industries leverage NLP, leverage text data, and what is it used for. So we're going to look at a few examples from e-commerce, finance, social media, real estate, and insurance. It's again used across the board. So there's so many other examples, but so let's limit our discussion to a few. So in e-commerce, there's a lot of source of text data in terms of product descriptions, product reviews. You have customer support records. And e-commerce businesses, for example, are anything to do with buying and selling of goods or services via the internet. So, and again, associated with transfer of money or some sort of transaction to complete the sale. So, for example, Amazon, that's something most or all of us, would have at some point shopped on. So, hopefully you'll relate to this particular example. So let's say that I am actually searching for Tumblr with the wrong spelling, and sure, it recognizes that I'm probably looking for this, even though I spelled it wrong. And then, you click on that. There's all this text description associated with the product, which is actually used for a lot of different, analysis within the business. And then you see the below, when you scroll, you have all these recommendations of similar type of products you may like, you may want to purchase. It's flooded with these recommendations. And while the recommendation that is made itself is based on multiple things, combination of methods really, but this text data is an integral part of it. And the content-based similarity between different text descriptions is actually an important part of how a lot of these recommendations work. So let's look at another example here. And when you are really browsing through anything, you look at reviews. There's all this classification now that highlights some of the important, maybe important elements of the product. So you can actually click on that, filter through, look at the comments, and it may not actually mention these words in exact phrases, right? It's not exactly those terms that you're filtering on, but it's still able to recognize content that might be related. So another example is in a lot of businesses, not just e-commerce, but really across the board, if you're really chatting with a customer service representative and you enter something that could be like a credit card number, for example, any personally identifiable information, PII sensitive information, is actually automatically redacted before it even goes into the chat and gets visibility by anybody. And this is really important for businesses because they don't want to be held liable in terms of how they deal with this kind of sensitive information. So these are again technologies where detecting patterns that might be a sensitive information and dealing with that before it's really too late. There are a lot of other places as well where NLP has been massively used in e-commerce. Of course, we looked at comments classification. A lot of other analysis happen on comments as well, like sentiment analysis. This really informs which products are doing well and by how much, and what's going well and what's not. And we saw an example of intelligent searching, product recommendation. Language translation is another big one because a lot of businesses are set globally, so they want content to be available in different languages that they want a presence in. And similarly, other use cases like chatbots. So you definitely would have chatted with customer service sometime at some point for something. And a lot of times when you start, it's really not a person, it's just the machine trying to answer your query or like filter it to point you to the right resource. So there's a lot of automation to actually trying to resolve a person's query without even involving a human representative. So there's a lot of analysis that happens on that data to improve customer service as well, and a lot of automation behind the scenes. So in terms of finance, though, this may or may not be very obvious. This may not be something that you have necessarily, personally interacted with, but there's NLP that goes behind the scene for finance as well. So finance is just a broad range of businesses associated with managing money. So examples include credit unions, you have banks, stock brokerages, and so on. But the kind of text data that plays a good role in how finance industry wants to use NLP and leverages NLP is going to be around, news, tweets, and articles, legal documents. There's just a lot of that, and of course, customer support related, items. So why really? How does the text data really matter in finance, right? So of course, news influences people, and then stock news influences investors. There's a decision made between buying and selling the stock, and then investor decisions have either a positive or a negative impact on the price of these stock tradings on exchanges. So there's some impact that's seen, and one really weird example of that is that sometime in 2021, Elon Musk told his followers to use Signal, and that led to more than 1,000% surge in an unrelated stock with a similar name instantly. So that's the kind of impact, even social media posts and tweets have on sometimes these variations that you see in the stocks. Other examples include like chatbots, like by a bank. So anything you want to do, let's say you want to block your credit card, a lot of banks now offer that support via chat itself. And of course, a lot of other queries can be answered on chat. But that's where NLP again plays a massive role in chatbots that these institutions wants to deploy. There are of course other applications as well. You have sentiment analysis. We went through the news classification, language translation, very common, similar to the need of the e-commerce sector. Customer service analysis as well. Another one is legal documents. So there's such a vast corpus of legal documents. So really reviewing them or searching something, trying to find similar documents. There's a lot of use cases on that front as well that really helps this particular sector. Next, let's look at social media. So definitely everybody's going to be familiar with that. Social media, I think it needs less of a description, but examples include Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Reddit, YouTube, and so on. So there's a lot of text data on social media, massive amounts of text data. You have posts, you have comments, you have captions on posts that are not even text-based posts, and then you have chat data as well. So even platforms like YouTube, where you would wonder where's the text data coming from because it's a video platform, right? But if you actually see, there's like this video title, video description, there are comments. And so there's a lot of text data actually that is heavily leveraged in social media, and not just text-based posts, but really platforms like YouTube as well. So let's look at an example here. It's really similar to some of the product recommendations we saw in e-commerce. So when you click on something, you see the sidebar really floods with recommendations. And in this case, it's an incognito mode browser. So it's really looking at the first thing I searched for, the first thing I clicked on. And the sidebar is completely flooded with recommendations. And a huge part of it, especially when the platform doesn't know anything else about me, my other watch history, maybe other content that I have clicked on, searched for, nothing, right? It's just one piece of information. That's where the text information plays a massive role in finding other similar videos with similar descriptions, similar titles, similar keywords, and places them as possible suggestions of what I may like or what I may want to watch next. And specifically in social media, there are actually different ways that data and NLP is utilized. One of them is by the platform itself, right? The example that we saw. But the other is also businesses that are third party, other businesses, independent businesses that actually read the social media data from their APIs and then do analysis on top of the data to aid in something. It could be really anything. It could be more analytical in nature, some decision-making process, anything. So for example, this one study just did a analysis of video content on YouTube and how the trends changed in travel category during the pandemic onset, and how that correlated with flight search data. And the people that were still creating these videos, what was it about? So they saw words like hiking and walking towards beach and really open spaces where you wouldn't find yourself in like large amounts of crowd, and then the kind of locations that were being mentioned popularly in these kind of contents. So in terms of what else the platform really uses NLP for, some big applications are fake news, spam detection, sensitive content detection. These are really important elements for a business because this can completely take a toll on not just the platform but the reputation and just so many things. You want to make sure the content is really safe, and text data associated with the content helps make those classifications. But of course, there are other applications as well. We saw content recommendations, trend analysis, analyzing the comments as well plays a significant role in video content or any other content generation, what gets traction. And the other one is actually customer support and chatbots. So very interestingly, if you may not have noticed, there are a lot of businesses that have a presence of their chatbots on, for example, Facebook Messenger. So it's their chatbot that would be available on their website, but also on social media, because that's a common way of people wanting to or preferring to communicate with someone. So that kind of presence also exists on social media, where other businesses are able to leverage these channels to get to their customers. So the next one, real estate. Again, real estate is just buying, selling, dealing with land, whether it's developed or undeveloped. But there's lots of text-based documents, some text data associated with listings as well, and the customer support records. So one of the examples is that when you list a property, there are, of course, fields that people fill out. But then there's also this description of the property. And oftentimes, if something is misrepresented or it's like missed getting filled out, this sort of information extraction from text description helps fill this up. And this particular example is actually from a pre-chat GPT time, right? So now with more advancements in the field, sort of more ways that these kind of information extraction can be even done better, things would only expand in their capacity that they were used before. But at that time, before chat GPT or anything, NLP, it was reported that NLP analyzes these hidden values in text descriptions, and it actually ends up increasing the property value somewhere between 1% and 6% on average, because there's more visibility. Now there's more things that you can highlight, you make sure the missing context is all filled up and highlighted in the proper manner. And lastly, insurance has so much documentation. You have, any like legal type of documentations. You have claim notes. You have customer support records. And the goal of insurance companies is really providing protection against a possible eventuality. So there are different types of NLP that is relevant here. One of them is really using claim notes itself and trying to extract information, predict, value of a claim, and so on. But then there are also chatbots, something like this, where they can get to know your needs and what you need coverage on, and even offer you different plans that work for you and make the interaction more personable, easier. uh, and these kind of applications again come under chatbots, but it is so spread across different industry verticals, including all the ones we've spoken about, as well as insurance for different types of use cases. There are also chatbots that help with claim resolution that different companies have set up, again, even before ChatGPT. So, a lot of these chatbots were in place before ChatGPT, and now with ChatGPT, there's a realization that everybody wants to, leverage generative AI for something and, make their experience for their customers more personable. So one of the things that is really different between the industry and, more a research-oriented place is that the goal developing NLP in the industry is not to just get better and better, for example, accuracy on something or precision on something. Right, you pick the model that works for your use case, and that is why a lot of the times, I still find the TF-IDF type of a feature is extremely relevant and useful for different types of tasks over transformer-based models, over large language models. And it's also much smaller in size, easier to deal with, computationally less, pressure on really the company to pay for. So there's you use what works for your use case, and the state of the art in the field doesn't mean that that's the best fit for your problem. So that is one of the really common trends, and that's why you see examples of NLP which are not the latest and the greatest, that finds very active use, that has high ROI, and helps generate revenue for companies. So why NLP is even used? Like, what is the goal? We saw so many examples, but really, if it's cutting costs for the business, generating new revenue, creating any efficiencies or automation, which ultimately, is either cutting costs or generating revenue or helping growth, or acquiring new customers. These are some very common use cases, and it has to, more often than not, satisfy at least one of them. So let's take an example of efficiency and automation and cutting cost. So implementing a chatbot for a business where the bot can answer questions for the customers and handle a bulk of the queries that actually come in before even involving a human representative. So that cuts costs, that definitely includes automation, and increases capacity of requests that the business can handle. And let's look at generating revenue perspective. So the product recommendation example that we saw, for example, on Amazon, ultimately that helps increase sales because it's increasing visibility of different products to the customer. And the more you see, the more you want to buy, sort of a mindset, the more you want to spend time on that app. And ultimately that's increasing the sales and thus increasing revenue. So this has to be, form some sort of a link to some benefit to the business as to why they want to use NLP in their daily process. And here's an actual example of where that stems from. So there may be like an overall goal or KPI to increase revenue by, let's say, 12%. So that then leads to different business objectives being created to meet that KPI. So for example, let's say the business objective is to increase the call taking capacity in the store. So you want to create some sort of a chat-based solution for that. So one action plan, where there could be multiple action plans to serve the same business objective, but let's say one action plan is building a pizza ordering chatbot. So assuming this is like a pizza ordering business in this case. So building that chatbot, creating your data science work, machine learning model, all of that. You want to measure success in terms of did the capacity of taking orders increased, what were the number of orders placed via chat and via phone, and really what happened there. So this is one of the flow of why certain decisions are made in companies. So, well, a lot of NLP was getting used in industry even before ChatGPT, but once generative AI, became a little bit more popular and gained more traction, things just increased in speed. Now there are companies that never thought about, AI or using that, and now they want to do that because of so much traction that ChatGPT just gave the entire field. So one of the interesting metrics that I saw is this particular one, where the VC pre-money valuations of company 2023 that are generative AI based have it's almost more than double than what it was in 2022. So the increase that we have seen there, and 2023 is not even over. The increase that we are seeing here is just massive, and this is an indication of how much money people are willing to invest today in generative AI based technologies in business, specifically after ChatGPT came out and more sort of awareness and more buzz got around. Same thing with even NVIDIA, data center revenue. So some of the most common GPU uh, provider is actually NVIDIA, the A100s and H100s. And in their Q2 of 2023, they reported, revenue was more than double of what it was in Q1. And they've been doing really, really well in this field. So you can see a lot of more people are actually doing something with large language models, specifically much, much more than they were before 2023. But LLMs existed before 2023. But definitely the buzz around generative AI and chat GPT gave it a lot more traction. And then, so there are a lot of applications today that businesses are beginning to invest in that are completely generative AI based, so large language model based. One of the big one is automation, and specifically in customer service. So one example is that there's a lot of things that happen via chat. Maybe some queries of a customer that are resolved via chat. Maybe some issue, is taken care of, and oftentimes in many places, then the person who conducted that chat, the expert in that matter, should like create a summary of what happened, what the issue was, it was addressed, and log it somewhere. So now that takes significant training to train the staff to create these summaries. It also takes a lot of time to go through that process, and just increase that by scale. So just imagine how many chats a business might be having every single day, and creating that for every single chat. So with more sort of LLM capabilities, creating summaries has actually become a lot easier and a lot better. And overall, it would save time, save resources, training time needed to train the resources, and then also thereby saving some cost. Before LLMs, the kind of extractive summarization existed, which means that if you have a document, you want to summarize that, it would take pieces from the same document itself, maybe a few sentences that are most relevant to the context of the document, and create a summary with that. So that was called extractive summarization. But now we can do abstractive summarization, which is, of course, overcoming some of the drawbacks of extractive summarization, that it's not just a few sentences here and there in a document that make up all the important content and important summary, but it's really a lot more. It's the context of the entire document, entire conversation. So that is today really possible with LLMs. So abstracted summarization is very, very widely getting explored and used today. Classification has become a much quicker development cycle, actually. So, with large language models that understand language data so well, there are zero shot classification that you can perform just because the model understands data in general. So, for example, I in my actual work, there were comments that were getting left by customers that stayed in different properties, and we wanted to create a classification model very, very soon, and we wanted to know whether this particular comment had anything to do with like cleanliness in the property, or maybe technology or maintenance or something else. So to do it very, very quickly, We actually leverage an LLM based on a zero-shot classification approach. And it's not perfect. It takes tuning. The words you use to define these classes can really vary, but it is a massive, advancement, because before this, if you had to do any classification, you would, maybe spend some time in clustering or creating label data and then creating a model. And now you can try things out much quicker, much faster, and you don't have to really necessarily go through all the detailed process of creating that model that can classify things for you. So very basic generic tasks are, in terms of development as well, are majorly getting leveraged today by large language models. Personalization is another big one. So, how different businesses are able to take maybe their existing offerings and personalize it a little bit more to the person using it. And a lot of data augmentation techniques here play a massive role as well, because to a business, their own data is important, and that has a lot to do with how they conduct their business, maybe provide their services, and so on. So data augmentation is a particular example that Expedia and HubSpot, these kind of businesses have adopted, is that, for example, Expedia now offers has a paired chat GPT and is looking into offering more personalized experience for planning people's travel and booking it in the same chat. And then HubSpot is a CRM sort of business, where now they are combining a particular business's data that they can query using chat within HubSpot. And then they can also get some general data from the internet, like, oh, what is my customer count, for example, like in the previous quarter, and how does that compare to the entire industry of travel and hospitality? So then you can really combine different data sources and look at things in one place, which has again gained a lot of traction, and is considered very useful by these customers. So chatbots specifically, and really personalization aspect, is something that has seen massive changes pre LLMs and chat GPT and post. So for example, there were still chatbots that Expedia had, and you could do basic things. You can maybe change your booking, or cancel your booking and do some of the tasks there, and it was working pretty well. But now it's more personalized, and it's as if you're talking to a person, and it's really not a person. Somebody's giving you recommendations of where to go, and then actually executing the entire trail of then booking that. So there's a lot of progress that we have seen in terms of specifically chatbots and personalization, pre-generative AI and post-generative AI. There are other use cases as well, and for example, content creation, marketing, coding, summarizing, rephrasing. I personally use ChatGPT for different things as well. So there are personal level use cases as well, and industry level as well. In fact, today interviewers are also getting more open to use of ChatGPT in an interview, as long as you do it in front of them. Businesses are also deploying private instance of ChatGPT for their own organization to ensure data safety. For example, coding, it's heavily used in debugging. And for example, I know people, they have created projects using tools that they weren't familiar with, because they got the templates really, really properly well with ChatGPT. It's also used in education sector a lot, like for example, integration with Khan Academy, uh, and also getting education to remote places where there's a lack of educators, and so to make information more accessible. Google also released their generative AI for doctors to ask a bot questions about patient history, for example, which medications has this person been taking in the last 12 years. So these kind of things, where you would have to go through massive amount of notes to just get all the data, would become more accessible, and in a way that you can just ask it, in any sort of how you communicate, communication style. So what job roles would look like now, because generative AI is getting capable of so many tasks? Things are going to change and evolve. Software engineers can, pull many templates, for example, right off ChatGPT, and that can speed up coding a lot by a lot. But it also means that these roles can now maybe do work that is more in undiscovered spaces. Example in cybersecurity, that's one field that remains challenging because with advancement of generative AI, there's also advancement in how people are, doing security breaches, and so this is a field that always needs to keep pace with advancements in technology. But there's a lot that companies today are doing with generative AI and generative AI technologies. Specifically in this year, there's a lot of movement that has happened that has really transformed a lot of capabilities, uh, and making things a lot more personalized for their customers. So generative AI so far sounds pretty good, right? So what's the problem? Of course, sometimes it's not very accurate. So, for example, this one has been around so much on social media as well. But just a basic math of you have a 12-liter jug and a 6-liter jug, and which one would you measure to measure 6 liter of water? Which one would you use? How would you do that? So, ChatGPT gives you a full 5-step detail on how to do that. But as a human, you would be probably just take the 6-liter jug and measure it, right? So, just one step. But there are challenges that exist in different sectors, in business level, applied science level, ML engineering level, environment, regulation, end user. So we just looking at some of them in more detail. So, for example, at a business level, the ROI, the return on investment, is still very unknown, right? There's a lot of investment that is happening in generative AI, using generative AI, but really, what is the return on investment? You're spending quite a lot of compute. Are you really able to generate that much revenue? And there are some studies and some projections which claim that, yeah, it's going to get there in time. Maybe it's not today. Maybe the revenue does not make up for the cost and the spend, but it's going to get better. And I think overall this is helped by developments in other areas as well, like making model training and tuning more efficient and effective, which gets me to the applied science level. There are problems with hallucinations, unsafe, biased, harmful content, false information, knowledge cutoffs, data issues, time investment. And so there's several advancements that are happening in that space. There's something called RAG, retrieval augmented generation. So any problems with like not knowing complete context or not having up to date knowledge, you can actually add in more context in a model to make it answer correctly for your particular type of problems. There's also something called program aided LLMs, called PAL. Uh, and so, for example, language models don't do well at math, right? It's not a calculator. So in order to do something with math using an LLM and capabilities of an LLM, you can actually take that prompt, ask it to generate Python code instead, and then connect that to a Python interpreter, and then get the answer, and then add that to the output of your LLM. There are also a lot of other techniques that are helping different problems. So reinforcement learning with human feedback is ensuring that there's less unsafe, less harmful content, less false content around. Parameter efficient fine tuning is trying to make sure that you when you are fine tuning models, you are able to do that in less amount of time, less amount of resources. And model and data shareability is again helping a lot of things with like different benchmarks and understanding what different models would perform without having to perform all the analysis yourself. Some of the work in progress items that are helping this particular challenge uh, here. There are others as well in like ML engineering level. There's huge amounts of compute requirements and expenses associated. And so, there are some latency reductions happening with hardware architectures as well. So, for example, NVIDIA has been making advancement in the architecture to help latency reduction on their upcoming H100 Next GPU chips. So, there's that. There's also the efficient fine tuning that can help with this problem. The problem really is the training of these models costs hundreds and millions of dollars. So really, some advancement in this space is going to significantly help that, even though inference is trivially expensive or inexpensive. And then that's also important because there's a huge environmental impact. So these models are trained. They need huge amount of compute resources, and that is actually causing a lot of carbon emissions. And which is why model shareability is really important, because you don't want to keep training these large models. Uh, if every single business started doing that, it's very bad for the environment. And also some regulation in that sense would be pretty helpful. Uh, you know, Data, model governance, ethics, these are kind of challenges that are more on like governmental bodies to really address. Uh, the good part about the carbon emissions is that there is a high carbon footprint associated with AI, but there's also growing awareness. So now there are green algorithms calculator, something called like that, that allows you to estimate carbon footprint of your ML algorithm. And then regulating AI otherwise is a really hot topic today, but it's something that is going to progress a little bit slower, because you have to think of it from a country perspective individually, because we don't have a single intergovernmental agency that will cover questions about AI regulation. So it's different for different places. For example, in the US, it's mostly concerned with liability and who's responsible if AI goes wrong, and misinformation, specifically with elections coming up in the next year, and personal and sensitive information protection. And China is at a completely different level, where they started thinking about regulation more in 2021, when they wanted to uh, slow false information dissemination, and it was primarily targeted for the Chinese version of the TikTok app. So it's challenging, as also people in the parliament don't necessarily understand how things work. uh, and the thing is, if there's any content generated by AI that's actually maybe copying somebody else's work, who's responsible? Is it the people who create the model? Is it the people who use the model? So it is a complete black box here, and there's a lot of discussion happening in this space. And of course, end user has a lot of concerns as well about data privacy, what content is real. Sometimes even I wonder, and I even get questions like, is AI going to take over the world? So these are all legitimate questions. For example, one of the things that's happening is, in ChatGPT, data privacy is not there, right? You're really putting your data out there. So for businesses now can have a private instance of ChatGPT for their own organization to have like more of a closed loop solution. But there are also other concerns, which some remain still unknown and unaddressed, like is there a risk of job loss because of AI? To some extent, yeah, but then also there's going to be a massive change in like how these job roles evolve over time, and how people end up using AI for their own benefit. So there are a lot of advancements that are helping address these challenging. A lot of them we already covered, and other important ones are domain-specific models, where there's a lot of work getting done on more general language, but it may not really work on something that's very domain-specific, like manufacturing or even insurance. There's just so many jargons and things where LLMs can be useful, but maybe they're not in that state yet. So a lot of work is happening on that front as well. Now with the increased awareness, models that can do a variety of tasks, a variety of data sets. For example, the plan model, fine-tuned language net, specifically fine-tuned using instruction tuning, and it's done on more than 100 data sets on 100 plus, problems. And model sharing is definitely prime. So getting close to the end here, but the future is going to really be a lot of continued advancements in making models more shareable, more efficient. On different fronts, there are going to be advancements that we're going to be seeing. There are going to be a lot of domain-specific research and releases that are going to happen. Perhaps even using multimodal data is something I'm seeing is becoming a trend now. So really, where to go from here, right? Uh, and then the good stuff is that after ChatGPT, the awareness has increased so much that everybody wants to get into this space. So because of that, now it's not just the developers thinking about how this technology can be used, but it's a much larger pool of people and businesses now. So a lot of new applications are going to come up for sure. And there's going to be research in more explainability and interpretability of these models is going to become of prime importance as well. So a lot of challenges, but a lot of work in progress solutions, and the future looks like a lot of this is going to continue as well as we move forward. So that gets me to an end. Definitely language, the way it was used and the way AI language was used, decades ago has changed so much over time. And there's so much that was almost thought of as impossible that is being done today. And I personally really excites me to see, where the field is going to go from here on. But all I want to say is thank you very much for being such a wonderful audience. Once again, this is my social media. So if anybody has any questions that we are not able to get to here, please feel free to reach out to me on social media. I'll do my best to get back to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. I would now like to open the platform to any questions that you may have.
Yeah, first of all, a big thanks for a wonderful presentation and overview of this field. And my question is related to the very end. You had it on the slide. So data protection or rights on data. So more and more countries worldwide are thinking about or in the process of installing rights to be forgotten. So to have rights to individual customers to delete data. Now, particular, that would mean deleting data also from trained large language models. So there are now two questions here that are related to that observation. Namely, first of all, what can you say about the technical possibilities to delete information, personal information from a large language model? And if easy or inexpensive to do, what does it actually mean for the industrial use of large language models?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. That's a really good question and a very important topic. And you're right, it's really challenging to get all of this together in place more effectively, more quickly, and it's very hard to keep pace with the technological advancements really happening in that space. So one of the challenge is there's no one single intergovernmental agency that can cover questions about this type of AI regulation, right? So it has to come from different countries. So for example, UK doesn't have a regulatory legislative act to govern AI, but the government has opened this active sort of consultations with those who work in the industry, including Microsoft, OpenAI, Alphabet. And so there's going to be a world summit sometime in November 2023 to discuss where they go from there on AI regulation. So I think these are questions that will, get covered in regulation. It is challenging. Maybe if even one country does put, some, hard sort of guidelines around it, there are going to be others that, then go way ahead in developing technology. And so, it's a very unbalanced, scenario there. I think one of the things, though, that is happening in terms of protecting, PII, personal information, is to build models that are specifically designed to detect PII and removing that from the data to begin with. So before you even do anything, removing that, replacing that with something else. In fact, without even considering large language models, these are exactly the techniques that are used by other businesses to censor content that might be sensitive. Right, so they're going to be again AI that will help AI in this factor, but it's a difficult thing to implement really worldwide, and so that's where we're going to see some of the regulation and the progress that's happening on the regulation front that's going to really help this effort. But it's a really challenging problem, and there's unfortunately no one solution that can just cover all the concerns around that.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Yes, I have one question. I feel really wonderful looking at Jyotika, our alumni, going ahead and becoming a director. Real congratulations for that. And it's a really good topic to have a presentation in the morning today. And one of my questions that it triggers that NLP has been applied in many wide areas, as we were talking about taking the content and processing, doing the summarization, etc. So one of the latest, I was involved in using the data for identifying the customer loyalty, in the sense that we use the review data, which was truly textual, okay, and then converting into more objective evaluation of that and applying. And we collected the data from the Twitter and then developed the customer loyalty prediction. And that was went up to a transaction level, IEEE transaction level. So my question to you this one in this context, do you really find these kind of research topics and apply on the industry level? Because when we see there is a lot of things are happening in the research point of view, but where it is ending up in applying. So can you pick up one or two examples where really you think that okay, these are the papers and they went for these kind of applications?
Yeah, wonderful question. Thank you so much for this insightful question. There is definitely a gap in the speed at which sort of academia and research developments move versus industry adoption. I think that is very well known and that's been seen quite often. But actually, on a day-to-day basis, when there's any task that we have to do, for example, on our let's say, using your example on maybe customer review data. uh, so anytime we have to do something, there is always that effort that data scientists here take to look at existing literature and finding the best ways of doing something. So it's still possible that they don't see the latest and the greatest, but they're going to see what their use cases and what is enough for that. So there is a very ongoing sort of exercise of looking at literature and picking up techniques from that. I have personally read so many papers and used a lot of results from that. So even a basic example, and I do not remember which paper this was, but there was a paper that compared the performance of different methods that were in sentiment analysis space. So like Vader, TextBlob, and some other these common tools that exist, and which one actually does better in a particular domain data. uh, because hotel reviews are different, maybe product reviews would be different, social media comments are different. So one may work better on social media, the other may work better on something else. So we actually look at those sort of benchmarks and try to pick the right tool for the job. So that is something that is heavily done. Also, sometimes parts of papers are useful. So maybe just the way you clean data, maybe that is something that's relevant to our use case. This one time we even tried implementing this reinforcement learning based method to predict discounts to offer to customers in a particular section. So we do read a lot of this literature, but there is a lag. Typically the advancements or the realm of tasks that are being looked at more in academia and pure research focus is different from the reality. And also because there are so many tools, like big players release tools like for example, language translation. You can use Google cloud services for that, you can use Amazon web services for that, so you don't have to really develop that model. And so you don't even in most scenarios get to the place where you're actually researching ways to do that, because there are already existing tools that you can pay for and get it, and they are doing the research. So there is lag where there can be differences in how some of these big players developing these cloud services are interacting with research and participating in research versus the rest of the sort of medium to smaller players in the industry. But definitely making use of work that's published in papers. Even more recently, using picking which LLM to use, for example, for classifying data that is of a particular type of domain, or like when it's chart data, looking at benchmarks that come from, for example, dialogue sum data set. These are all examples of something that's very heavily researched and looked at, and it's incredibly helpful in the industry as well.
Thank you very much.
Right, any more questions? Okay. So moving on, Dr. Jyotika Singh, your insights have left us truly inspired, and we wish to extend our heartfelt gratitude for your truly valuable presence today. Thank you for sharing your time, knowledge, and passion with us. And now the conclave may now be adjourned for a short break. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll be now leaving for a break. We'll be back again at 10:30. You can attend the Videsi stall for refreshments.
Hello, Dr. Ilakya. Am I audible? Dr. Ilakya, am I audible? Dr. Ilakya, am I audible? Dr. Ilakya, am I audible? Hello.
Very good morning, Dr. Sriram. Can you hear us?
Yeah, Dr. Ilakya, I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. Let's begin now.
Sure.
Distinguished guests, esteemed participants, and fellow attendees of CINS 2023 conference. It is with the utmost honor and privilege that I introduce you to a remarkable individual whose accomplishments and contribution to the realms of technology, research, and innovation stands as a testament to his exceptional expertise and unwavering dedication. Dr. Sriram Vasudevan epitomizes excellence in the fields of industrial, research and development, and teaching, boasting a wealth of experience spanning over 17 years. His unwavering commitment to tackle challenging tasks has been the cornerstone of a distinguished career that has significantly impacted the worlds of technology and education. A prolific author, Dr. Vasudevan has authored and co authored and outstanding 47 books for renowned publishers worldwide. His literary works have served as a valuable source of knowledge for countless readers across the globe. In addition to his literary achievements, he has authored 132 research papers in prestigious international journals and presented 36 papers in international and national conferences. Dr. Vasudevan, unrelenting pursuit of knowledge has resulted in the granting of 12 patents, a testament to his pioneering spirit. His collaboration with esteemed publishers such as Oxford University Press, Wiley, Taylor and Francis CRC Press, Narosa Publishing House, Alpha Science UK, and other underscores the profound respect for his expertise and contributions. With a PhD and a master's in embedded system, Dr. Vasudevan showcases a deep understanding of the technological landscape. His prodigious contributions have garnered well-deserved recognition and honors from a multitude of organizations and institutions. From the government of Saudi Arabia to global giants like Google, Citibank, L&T Technology Services, and numerous others, Dr. Vasudevan influence knows no bounds. As an enthusiastic participant in hackathons and a dedicated startup mentor and technology consultant, he has successfully initiated 4 thriving startups, demonstrating his entrepreneurial acumen. In 2019, Dr. Vasudevan achieved a remarkable feat by winning the prestigious Harvard University Hack Harvard Global 2019 World Hack, an accolade bestowed by the Telecommunications and Digital Government Regulatory Authority of the United Arab Emirates. His contributions extend globally as he serves as a member of the Intel IoT Advisory Board, holds the esteemed title of Fellow at the Institution of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineers, IETE, and stand as a distinguished Huawei Developer Expert, HDE, being the first from his homeland to achieve this distinction. Dr. Sriram Vasudevan is also an Intel One API certified instructor, a world record holder, and has earned accolades and accomplishments from the plethora of esteemed organizations, including Intel, Microsoft, Wipro, Infosys, IBM India, and many more. As we assemble at CINS 2023, it is indeed an honor to have Dr. Sriram Vasudevan among us, a true luminary in the world of technology and innovation. His journey of excellence served as a wellspring of inspiration, and his contributions continue to mold the landscape of our digital future. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a warm and formal welcome to Dr. Sriram Vasudevan, a true beacon of knowledge, innovation, and inspiration. Thank you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope I'm audible and clear. Can I go ahead? Am I audible and clear? Perfect. Yeah. Thank you very much for the warm introduction, and good morning, everybody out at Dubai. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible. Please go ahead.
Perfect. Right. Thank you. Thank you very much. So thank you very much on behalf of Intel and on my own behalf. Thank you very much for this invitation. And I thank Dr. Ilakia for pulling me in. All the coordinators for this conference. It's never an easy deal to run a conference at scale. And when you do at scale, it shows the amount of hard work that you guys have put in. My sincere congratulations to all the volunteers, all the participants, all the coordinators, most importantly, to have done this. Right. So today, what am I going to do? I'll talk about one of the recent happenings, one of the recent updates in the market in the AA field, in the high performance computing field, with some demonstrations as well. I believe some of you have laptops with you. If you have laptops, you can try out things that I'm going to show you in parallel. But if you do not have, don't worry, I'll give you the links, details, everything in the chat box, and that can be tried out later at your comfort, and you can definitely gain a lot of knowledge through that. Before I go in depth into whatever I wanted to do, you should know what Intel is. Intel is not just a hardware company. Many of us are thinking that Intel is a hardware company. Intel is not just that. Intel is far better than that. Intel has got a lot of software contributions as well. And Intel is a huge company where Intel software is a domain that works as well for upliftment of the software. I'll just play a small video which talks about what Intel is, and then I'll go into the detailed technical contents which I had to talk about. I hope it will be very interesting for you to see.
What do we mean when we say all you need is an idea and intel inside? That in today's fast-moving, high-tech world, big ideas are powered by a one-of-a-kind partnership with Intel, because our customer-first approach is more than just a byline. From the moment we put the silicon in Silicon Valley, Intel has been accelerating the industry in big ways, setting a course for a new era of bold innovation. No one else is this obsessed with engineering a brighter future. That's why we're driving the industry's biggest inflection points, putting intelligence where it's needed most, in ways that only Intel can, with a multi-architecture approach that empowers our customers to transform their businesses from the inside out. We're democratizing AI in big ways, combining software and hardware to open up new possibilities. And we're moving that innovation around the world at lightning speeds with our advances in 5G. Collaborating with global operators and creating a new vision for networks of the future. We're taking intelligence and bringing it to the edge. Accelerating business outcomes with over 30,000 edge-to-cloud solution deployments. And we're taking that same innovation to the streets, deploying new technology and advanced data layers to make autonomous driving not only possible, but safe and seamless. Every day, we create world-changing technology that enriches the lives of every person on Earth. Making bold moves, because Intel has the unique portfolio breadth and depth, plus the global scale to serve as an unparalleled catalyst for our partners' biggest ambitions. So if you've got a big idea, let's go off and do something wonderful together.
I'm sure you must have liked the video. Right, let's get into the content, and I'm going to talk about one API. I'll walk you through the process where you can gain access to an API seamlessly through Intel Developer Cloud. All those are free, and it will not even ask you for credit card or any card details. It will just ask you for your email ID, and I'm certain you will enjoy the journey. And if you are an enthusiast for high performance computing, this is the place. If you are an enthusiast for AI with machine learning, deep learning, all those things, yes, you have come into the right place, and we will go through it very nicely. And wherever you have any questions, doubts, or something, you can stop me, and I'll be very glad to assist you. And I hope you'll definitely have a great session out here. I hope the screen is visible for you people. And let's get into one API. I'll talk about one API first, then I'll talk about why one API has evolved, what are all the libraries available there. Then I'll show you the simplest of the procedure. 2 minutes is the procedure that you need to follow to gain access to Intel Developer Cloud and generative AI. I'll talk about generative AI a little bit because that's happening the most, right? I'll also show you some excellent demos through stable diffusion with Intel One API. So I'm going to show you that. Then I'll talk about the AI reference kit and analytics kit. And finally, a couple of cool demos I have ready for you. Not from Gen AI, not from other areas. It's from Core AI. So you will be able to understand the power of One API through the demonstrations. So wherever you have any questions, you can probably type it in the chat section if you have access to. Otherwise, make a note of it. I'll be very glad to take them up at the end of the session, answering all your questions. Let's get into One API. One API is an industry initiative. Trust me, it is an industry initiative and Intel product. What do you mean by that, sir? Very simple. You must be knowing TensorFlow, you must be knowing PyTorch, you must be knowing scikit-learn. All these are already available in the market. What Intel has done is Intel has taken it, Intel has optimized it, and it has made it much better. So it is an industry initiative, but Intel product, Intel optimized it. Intel has packaged all these things together, and we call it One API. One API has got packages for you, which will eventually help you to develop applications for HPC, high performance computing, machine learning, deep learning, data analytics, big data stuff, AR, VR, IoT, and whatnot. Everything can be done with One API. So what do we do? Simple example will be very easy for you to understand. Python you must be knowing. We have got Intel optimized Python available with us. It is called Intel distribution for Python. You code something, and if you need 10 seconds to run that code, Intel optimized Python will need lesser time to run. Not only time, but also efficiency, but also usage of the RAM. Everything comes down, and that's what efficiency is all about. That's what optimization is all about. We get you optimized version of all these packages and libraries to ensure you that you are getting the best of the stuff for you. There are multiple programming challenges that we face all this time. We have CPU, we have GPU, we have FPGA, and we have many other accelerators available. You can see that here. I'm providing you all these details as a picture. I can share this PPT at the end of the session with you as well. Now, when you want to write a code in CPU, code for CPU, it becomes scalar, and GPU obviously vector, and FPGA it goes spatial, and other accelerators may even demand to go with matrix. Now, the point is, when you are writing code for CPU, can the same code be utilized for GPU? Can the same code be utilized for FPGA? And when you write a code for GPU, can we use that code for CPU and FPGA? No, we cannot do it. We need to go ahead with separate programming models, separate tool chain, and different architecture, different hardware requires different types of programming languages and tool chains to be used. So there is a lot of complexity in you developing the software, and most importantly, the reusability is totally doomed here, and we do not have chance of reusing things. And the biggest disadvantage with this current approach, whatever we have, is you will have to maintain separate code bases. Assuming that you are a student building a project, maximum lines of code you will use is 200 to 250. That itself is very difficult for us to maintain. Assume industry where millions and millions of lines are used, and maintenance of the code base is so very difficult, and if there is a correction, we have to rebuild the code, and that may take 12 hours, 24 hours. Likewise, the build will go on for a long time. So assuming you have three different code bases for CPU, GPU, and FPGA, what will happen? The time taken will be doubled, the effort will be doubled, the maintenance of the code base will be real challenging, and all these are not appreciable. So Intel has come up with something called as one API, which will help you in using the existing libraries and frameworks in the best possible way. We are providing you support to write code only once, deploy it any number of times, any hardware. That's one for you. You know API, one says that write code once and that's it. You are all done, and you can deploy it in any hardware. You can run it in any hardware. And we support native language programming. We support libraries. We support middlewares and frameworks which are already very famous in the market, and all these comes very handy for you. So I will show you how exactly you can use them as well. Now you see the picture in the right hand side. You are going to develop application, and while developing application, I'll zoom it a little bit so that you can see it. Now you see this very clearly. I'm going to develop application. The application can use any of the existing middleware and framework like TensorFlow, PyTorch, MXNet, Scikit-learn, NumPy, XGBoost, OpenVINO, whatnot. All these are already famous in the market. For example, we have TensorFlow, which is already available in the market. We have optimized it, and it is Intel optimized TensorFlow right now, which means the TensorFlow, when you are using Intel optimized version, will yield you better results. You may ask me a question, sir, for this, do I have to run the code only in Intel platform? No, one API enables you to run the code in any of the platforms. You can go ahead and run it in AMD. You can go ahead and run it in any other vendors, processors and accelerators. It will work fine. So it is not just for Intel, it is for everything. But when you run it in Intel, you will find definitely improved results. We have got optimized PyTorch. It is from Facebook. We have optimized it further. You've got Scikit-learn, we have optimized it. You've got OpenVINO, Open Visual Inferencing and Neural Network Optimization. That is also available, and all these frameworks can be used for you to build application. You are building an application, and you can use any of this available middleware and framework, and you can start with direct programming where you get native programming facility using SYCL. SYCL is nothing but data parallel C++. It is from Kronos Group. Intel provides you an opportunity to go ahead and code with SYCL, where many of us are native program lovers, which means we want to code only with C and C++. So Intel provides you support for a data parallel C++, which is enhanced C++, which will enable you to code better. I'll give you a simple example for you to understand this point. I have got for loop in C and C++. For I equal to 0, I less than 10, I plus plus. It will come in, it will initiate, it will check the condition, it will increment or decrement, and it will go on iteration. So we get this, for example, 100 iterations, one after another. But in SYCL, that is data parallel C++, we have got parallel underscore for, where things happen in parallel, which means that you don't waste time. So we are taking care of the iterations even in parallel. That's the greatest of the features that you can appreciate with SYCL. And no, sir, I don't want to go with SYCL. I want to use Python. I want to get library support from your side. Do you have? Yes, we have got excellent library support available for you, packages available for you for math, threading, DPC++, most importantly, analytics and machine learning, deep neural network, video processing, whatnot. Everything is covered here, and you've got libraries. Sir, all these are available for us. Do we have to pay anything? Nothing. You can use this, and one API is a Git project. All the codes, learning materials, everything is available in the Git, and you can go through the Git, get it cloned into your local system, and you can work. Sir, where will I develop this? You've got Intel Developer Cloud available for you, where the training and learning is absolutely free for you, and you will be allocated with login. I'll show you how to do that, and that will help you in you learning, building, and using the existing materials which are available pre-built there. Sir, I don't want to use Intel Developer Cloud. Can I use all this as standalone versions in my laptop or desktop? Yes, you can use that. Sir, I am very much used to Google Colab. Can I use one API in Google Colab? Yes, you can use it. It will work fine. We have tested it. So you are going to develop application. You are going to use the middlewares and the framework which are available, which can be any of these like TensorFlow, PyTorch, as I told you. And you can use and program with direct programming method or API-based programming, and you can deploy it in CPU, GPU, FPGA, or any other accelerator. This is one API for you. One API is most productive. It is the easiest path for you to go ahead and use the resources much more effectively, and you are not getting locked with proprietary lock-in kind of stuff. You are not saying, you are not getting into a situation like, I have to run this code only on this particular platform. I have to buy this. I have to run this code on the only particular platform, and it is proprietary lock-in. So there are issues with proprietary lock-in which we have broken now. Now one API will give you that freedom. It is to promote actually community and industry collaboration. Multiple industries, multiple communities have come together to really build this, and you can be part of this community as well. I'll tell you the ways to do it. We have broken the proprietary lock-in major issue, which is the proprietary lock-in we have broken, and we have also made it more democratic. AI everywhere is what we want, and for you to learn AI, you should not be having a requirement like you should be a PhD to learn it, and that's what we have done. We have given you a lot more stuff. I'll tell you all those, and you can try exploring, and wherever you have any queries, you can always ask me, and I'll be able to clarify. As I told you, we have got powerful one API libraries available. One API math kernel library, one API deep neural network library, one API video processing library. The most famous one API data analytics library is available. The data analytics library is so easy to use. All what you have been doing these days in Python, for example, you are doing regression, you are doing classification, you are doing clustering. All this can be done with ease, with much more better results, with much more improved results using one API data analytics library. I'll show you how exactly to use that as well. I'll also share the cheat sheet with you, which can be referred, and you can learn further things from there. We have got threading level building blocks also available. We have got DPC++ library. All these are pre-optimized. In the sense, you need not break your head as much to optimize the code further. We have already optimized the libraries, and we have given you, which will enable you to get the results in a much faster, much better way. Right. Sir, what is the kernel you have, sir? What is the compiler you have, sir? This kind of questions will normally come. I'll talk about kernel little later. I'll show you the options available for you to run your code. We've got multiple kernels available, and it's very easy to set up. I'll show you a demonstration. Coming to the compiler, we have got a DPC++ compiler available. It is absolutely based on the standards and Kronos SYCL. That's the base that we have taken. And this gets you the comfort of C++, because C++ is a very comfortable programming language to learn. So your comfort and familiarity with C++ is completely retained, while add-ons are given to you, which will improve the capacity of the compiler as such. And that's going to help you in running the code in CPU, GPU, FPGA seamlessly without any issues. So you are getting into a world of parallel programming through this compiler. This compiler will help you in running your traditional C code, C++ code, or DPC++ code. You can run anything. Am I audible and clear till now? I just wanted to ensure it once more. Am I audible and clear, Professor? Can one of you confirm?
Yes,
Can I have an
yes.
yes or?
We can proceed.
Perfect. Right. Right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Right. So I hope till now everything is clear. And if you have any questions, please hold on. Keep the questions noted. I'll reply all the questions a little later. Once the demonstrations, once the walkthrough is all over, I'll demonstrate you with, I'll give you answers with all the questions that you have. Now let's cloud. It's a world of cloud era right now. So we have to cloud as well. Let's learn one API through cloud. We have something called as Intel Developer Cloud, which is a sandbox which can help you developing, testing, and running workloads across a range of Intel hardwares called as CPU, GPU, and FPGA. We also have options for selecting the hardware through the programming itself. That's going to be very easy. The Intel Developer Cloud will really make it very easy for you to access the latest of the Intel hardware and software with no setup requirements from your end, which means I do not have to do anything like setting up things, anything to bringing up the hardware. All those things are not required. It is a ready to deploy, ready to develop environment that we give you. Go ahead, start using it, build your model, test it, deploy it. That's all. The world of usage is very, very simple, and it's going to be fun usage for you because you have a lot of examples and references available for you. That's going to be the best part about the entire learning process, where you get everything seamlessly available to you. We have got a comprehensive set of software guidelines and learning materials, comprehensive toolkits available, support resources available. All these are really very easy for you. Sir, where will I get it? How do I get the access to it? You can get the access to it, and also you can get the complete process of training happening through this cloud account registration itself. So please have a look at the way that I have done. I'll show you the demonstration right now. And if you have a laptop, you can register for an Intel Developer Cloud account immediately, and that's with ease you can do it. If you do not have a laptop, I'll share this link with you, with which you can definitely try it out at later point of time. I have given the guidelines and detailed procedure in the description section of the video that I have shared in the chat box for you. I'm going to share the content where you will understand how exactly one can register, one can use, one can gain access to Intel Developer Cloud. You need not pay anything. You need not give any other details other than your email ID. I prefer you to give your BITS email ID or your academic or industrial email ID, company email ID, whatever you are having. Personal email IDs can be avoided, and you get access to these materials and cloud access for 20 plus 7 days for you, and you can extend it further. So this is very easy to use. Instead of me telling you that way theoretically, let me show you how exactly one can register. If you have laptops with you, if you have machines with you right there, I recommend you to register and to tell me if you face any difficulties. Let us see how exactly things work.
Welcome back. In this session, I'm going to walk you through the process towards getting registered with Intel Developer Cloud, and also I will let you know how you can access the training materials which are available inside the Intel Developer Cloud, and the easiest way to launch the Jupyter Notebook through Intel Developer Cloud will also be presented. First step is to get yourself registered for an access with Intel Developer Cloud, and for that you need to go to console.cloud.intel.com. I have given this detail in the description as well so that you will not have any problem in identifying this link. console.cloud.intel.com. The moment you get into this page, you will have an option to sign in or create an account. If you have already created an account, you can sign in with the email ID and password which you have already given. If you are yet to create an account, just click create an account and it will take you to this page where you will have to fill in certain mandatory information like the email ID, first name, last name, language, country, region you belong to, and the password. Please select the password as appropriately, and most importantly, you click verify your email once you have given all this information. You will get an email in seconds which will let you verify your registration process, and that's it. You are all free to go, and you can now sign in with the email ID which you have. Now you can see that I have given an email ID with which I have registered, and you can type the password if you remember it. Otherwise, you can request for the single use passcode. The moment you click this, you will get a single use passcode and with which you can log in easily. Just click single use passcode and it will let you generate the single use passcode for you and give it here, and that's it. You will be into the Intel Developer Cloud console. And once you log in, you will get into this console homepage where you can see a lot of information which is very interesting. You can get to know the hardware catalog details where you will see the available options for you to access the resources. And once you come back to home, you also have software catalog, which will be updated shortly. And you have training and workshop options here, which you need to click now. And there your learning will start. You can see that we have got a lot of learning materials available with A and C++ SQL. For an instance, I'm going to walk you through machine learning using one API, where you can click that to understand what are all the topics that are covered in this training material that is provided, and there is an option for you to launch Jupyter Notebook. Just click that launch Jupyter Notebook option. It will launch the training for you, and Jupyter Notebook will be available for you with all necessary prerequisites properly done already for you, and you can start learning the content in seconds. You can see that all these are preloaded for you. The training materials and modules are available. Each of these module will have a proper PPT for you, which will train you with the content that is connected to that particular module. You can scroll through it, you can learn it at your comfort, and most importantly, you also will have an IPYNB file which you can use to learn, practically try out things. And you have the option to select kernels as well. You can see that they have got kernels updated here, and you can select the kernel whichever you want, and you can try learning. Most of you would be already familiar with the Jupyter Notebook, and the same is integrated here, and you will be learning things in a much faster and a easier way here. Each of these cells can be run with this button. There is a run option here. You can run the entire file as well. You can go cell by cell. All these options are pretty much similar to whatever you have already learned, and these training materials are very well curated that you can understand, try out things, and learn things with ease. Now, there is another option that we need to understand and explore. We can also go into expert mode where you can connect using an SSH key. When you click the launch using SSH key, you need to generate the key, and the key name has to be given here. And how to create SSH key content is also provided here very clearly. If you have Windows machine, you can try this procedure. If you have Linux machine, just click onto Linux and the procedure is presented very clearly for you. So once this is done, you need to just copy paste the key here and say upload key. That's all. You can get connected to the expert mode through this option. So all these are very simple, and try it out, and I'm sure you will have a lot of learning and you will love this. I've given the complete procedure in the description also for you to understand and try out easily. If you have any questions, please reach us out. We'll be very happy to assist you. Thank you.
I hope it was very concise and clear to understand how do we get the access to Intel Developer Cloud. And as I told you, the Git is playing a major role in OneAPI. So the entire OneAPI is a Git project. Sir, I don't understand. I'll walk you through that right now, and I'll explain you how exactly you can avail the content from Git as well. It's going to be very easy. Let me share screen and let me take you through the demonstration of things in the Intel Developer Cloud with ease. It's going to be fun. It's going to be easy. I hope the screen is visible. If not, let me know. So once you get into the Intel Developer Cloud, this is the console that you have. This is called Console Home. We have got multiple tutorials, training materials, everything available. If you want to go ahead with specific hardware which Intel is providing you, you may have to buy the access and you may have to use it. For example, you have got 4 Gen Xeon and Max GPU available. But you are a learner, so you do not have to use this. You can go ahead and use our training materials and resources where you will gain access to the hardware and you can launch and use the existing facilities very nicely. Now, if you see this very clearly, you have got learning for AI and C++ SQL. Whichever is your interest, you can go ahead and explore. I'm going to walk you through some of these right now. Just click machine learning using OneAPI. The moment you click it, you will get clear access to the learning objectives and what are all the prerequisites that are required for completing this. All those will be available. You click launch Jupyter Notebook. That's all. The moment you click launch Jupyter Notebook, you will be taken to this kind of page where this is the Jupyter Notebook interface that you are seeing. Don't worry about the code, all this stuff. I'll explain you all those a little later. Now, this is what you will get. And inside this, if you see, you will get these kind of materials made available for you. So all these will be available under the folder called training. There is a training folder which you can see. I hope you are able to see on the screen. This training folder has got AI content for the people who are interested in high performance computing content. For the people who are into AR, VR, high performance visualization, all those contents are available inside rendering. And I'm going to explore just AI here, and you can try exploring rest of the things. Just click AI and get into it. And inside AI, if you see, you've got introduction to machine learning, you've got Gen AI, you've got number, you've got predictive modeling training. Now, introduction to machine learning is what we are going to explore. And inside that, if you see, there are 11 folders available, 11 directories available with starting from machine learning introduction, supervised learning, test split, train split, regularization, logistic regression, all these are available. Sir, what will be available inside it? For an instance, I'm getting into supervised learning. There you can see that there is a PDF available, which is the PowerPoint material which Intel has prepared and it has given you. You can see that it is getting loaded. Step by step, they will teach you what exactly is all about the supervised learning. Examples will be coming. All those are free for you and you can explore. This is the best chance for somebody to learn from the experts, and the way the materials are curated is really nice. Okay, sir, this is fine. What next now? You have got an IPYNB file here. You can see that this is an IPYNB file. Just double click that. You will get the IPYNB file launched, and you can see that we have got detailed explanation of what that particular file is all about. Here we are talking about sklearn. So Intel has got its own scikit-learn and we have optimized it. For you to use the Intel optimized scikit-learn, just 2 lines of code is what you need to change in your regular traditional code. You need to call the existing traditional version as the stock sklearn, and whatever we are providing you is called patch sklearn. That's all. We are providing you patch sklearn, which means optimized version. Now, if you see this very clearly, we have got from sklearnx import patch sklearn, and you are using patch sklearn further. That's all. Just 2 lines of code is what you need to change from your regular existing code, and you will be able to get the perfect improved results with optimized version that we have provided you. Now you have written code for an instance. You can use this Jupyter Notebook cells like whatever we have given you, and you can use this run option. That's all. Your code will run. Is it difficult to understand? If you have any questions, you can ask me at the end of the session. I'll clarify. So all the materials, whatever I have told you, is all available in this directory itself. There are 11 folders, and it goes till the topmost concept in the machine learning. And each of this directory will have a PPT and associated file with you. So you can see that there will be a file, and you are also free to select the kernel. Which kernel do you want to run in? You want to run it in Python. You want to choose PyTars. You want to choose PyTars for GPU. You want to choose TensorFlow. So all these are available for you, and it is up to you to select the right kernel. You can see that the kernel is selected here. You can see that I'm going to the right corner. Here you need to select the kernel, and that's all. Once you select the kernel, your code will run. Sir, you said there is something available on the Git. Where will I get the content from? That is very easy to understand. I'll walk you through the procedure. Before we get into Git and all those things, let me tell you something very clearly. We have got something called as launcher in this place. This is called launcher. This plus button is called launcher button. Click this plus button. You will immediately get this page where you will get access to all these kernels directly. You can launch these notebooks directly. If you are going to run Python code, click this, you can run. If you're going to run Modin, you can run. PyTars for CPU, PyTars for GPU. All these are available for you in a much easier, much accessible manner. This is not available in many other platforms to our knowledge, and this will be simplifying the learner's whole pain in undertaking the things and to understand things. So see this is very easy. And here, if you see, I have got a terminal. Click terminal, and in this terminal, we can type commands like whatever you are doing in your Linux terminal. And I will now walk you through how you can bring the content from the GitHub into this. Now, if you see, we have a GitHub content available here very clearly. I will show you that this is the command that you need to work on. So just see this: git clone https github.com/1api-src /1api-samples.git. The complete material for 1API is all updated in this particular Git account, and periodically we update it. I'll show you the link right now so that you can understand how exactly this materials are updated and how exactly you get benefits over it. So we can see that A and analytics materials are there. Click that. You can go into getting started samples if you are a beginner. All the components, TensorFlow, PyTorch, Python, Dal for Py, Modin, all whatever you want, we have got a very clear getting started samples available. It will have a Jupyter notebook for you. Launch that and you can get it done. Now, how do you bring it into the cloud? That could be your question, right? So I need to bring it into cloud. How do I bring it? Very simple. Copy this hyperlink, go into your Intel Developer Cloud, type git clone, type git clone, and copy paste this link. Press enter. Every material, whatever you have got in this Git page, will all be available into your local Developer Cloud account, and you will get that here. So I'm not doing it since I have already gotten it. So when you click it, you will be able to see all these materials. You can see that this is the way you will get. Whatever we have seen in the Git is all available here, and you can run these codes now. you need to do nothing, and all the getting started examples are the ones that you need to go ahead and start with when you are doing things in the beginning. But otherwise it will be very easy for you. First time you may find it a little difficult. I have given you the video details as well. I'll share the channel details also, with which you can run things much faster. Is it understandable till now? I want a concurrence from your side before I go on, because some of you might find it very new. I just want a concurrence from you. Is it understandable, the cloud registration process, what one API is, what one API can get you on the table? Are this understandable? Can I have some response from the participants? Because being there in person and doing it is far more easier than staying away and doing it. So I request your concurrence. Is it understandable? Does it excite you? Yes, I'm getting. Great. Can I go ahead in the same pace? Can I go ahead in the same pace? Perfect, friends. Thank you very much. Perfect. Thank you. So now that I have introduced you with one API, I'd like to give a recap of what one API is, because this is the first time many of you would be hearing one API, I'm sure. So I will give you a recap of what one API is, and then we will go into further contents where I will show you some quick examples of how one DAL can be used, one data analytics library can be used. Then the most happening topic, the large language models and generative AI, it will be discussed. I'll show you a couple of demos for that as well. With that, I'll close my session. Let's see one simple video where one API is summarized in a very nice way.
Data-driven workloads are increasing exponentially. To deliver high compute performance for emerging specialized workloads, diverse compute architectures are required. However, taking advantage of multiple types of architectures is a challenge for developers. Each architecture has needed different languages, separate tools, and code reuse is limited. This makes development complex, costly, inefficient, and time-intensive. Developers need reduced programming complexity to minimize barriers, providing freedom to adopt new, innovative hardware. In the new XPU era, One API is a bold initiative to deliver a revolutionary unified cross-architecture programming model. It provides developers the freedom to choose the best hardware for the specific problem they are solving, without proprietary lock-in. It's simplified, open, and enables a developer to deliver uncompromised performance across architectures, while easily integrating existing code. And because One API is based on standards and open specifications, risks are reduced in deployment, bringing peace of mind. With One API, developers can program using a single codebase with native high-level language performance to unleash the full value of cutting-edge capabilities of the hardware. This allows a fast path to deploy and scale applications across accelerated architectures. One API includes a direct programming language, Data Parallel C++, and a set of libraries to make cross-architecture development easier. Data Parallel C++ is based on familiar C++ and incorporates SYCL from the Cronus Group and extensions from the community. It allows code reuse across architectures and custom tuning for accelerators. This gives developers the flexibility to break the mold of proprietary approaches and opens the door to leverage hardware options not feasible before. With API-based programming, powerful One API libraries are custom-coded for each target architecture to accelerate compute-intensive workloads. This unified approach simplifies coding for cross-architecture applications and delivers performance, all while increasing productivity, saving time, and reducing development costs and risks. Developers can focus on innovating new features and preparing for emerging and future architectures, not rewriting code for the next hardware platform. One API, the smart path to freedom for accelerated compute from the economic and technical burdens of proprietary programming models. Test drive One API and Intel's implementation of One API with a set of toolkits in the Intel Dev Cloud, a free sandbox to develop, test and run workloads on a cluster of the latest Intel hardware and software. Or download Intel One API toolkits to run locally now.
I hope the video was very good and it summarized all the aspects of an API. Now it's time for us to understand a little more theoretical content. I'll get back to theory. I walked you through the demonstration process of using the Intel Developer Cloud. After giving you the glimpse of what are all the toolkits available, I'll come back to the demonstration where I'll show you the detailed Gen AI content available with one API also. I'm sure you will like it. Let's get into that. Dr. Ilakya, can you go on mute there because I hear a lot of ripple. Dr. Ilakya, just go on mute there because your system is giving
Yeah.
me a lot of echo at my end. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, okay. Now is
Now,
it fine?
yeah, better. Thank you very much. Yeah. Now, if you see,
Yes, yes.
sir,
Thanks.
I use one API. Thank you. I use one API, sir, but what are all the domains that I can work on with one API? To avoid this confusion, we have catered to all the domains with appropriate toolkits. We've got Intel One API based toolkit available with us. It is a set of tools and libraries available for all native application builders. And we have got HPC toolkit available for all Fortran, OpenMP, all those kind of applications. You can use this toolkit. We have got IoT toolkit available. For most of you, I think, will be excited with IoT. You can build your IoT applications at network edge as well, very clearly with our IoT toolkit. We've got rendering toolkit. We've got AI analytics toolkit. End-to-end Python libraries and pipelines are available, which are all optimized, and it's very easy to use. I'll show you one such example. Intel OpenVINO toolkit is also available. You can deploy the high performance inferencing and applications from edge to cloud can be easily built. So you can choose any of this and you can install it as a standalone process as well, standalone installation. Or, sir, I don't want to install anything, sir. I will go with cloud itself. Yes, that's the best way to go ahead. You can use the Intel Developer Cloud, and all these are pre-packaged there. That's going to be very easy for you to use, and your pain in terms of you installing things will be reduced. As I told you, the Intel 1AP based toolkit is most powerful. It has got direct programming support. I have already told you a SQL support is there. We have got Intel 1AP DPC++ compiler which can help you with SQL support. API based programming I walked you through, and we have got tools available for you. We have got VTune Profiler. We have got Intel Advisor. We have got GDB. I'll talk about it a little later, not now. Don't worry. Now, this is the most important component. Intel 1API AI Analytics Toolkit. You are a machine learning or a deep learning or a data analytics person, you get everything out here. You definitely know that 60 to 70% of the data scientists or data engineers life is wasted in cleansing the data and to get the right model and to get the right tool for running their code. But Intel has avoided those problems, and it is going to be very easy for the scientists or researchers, MLDL developers. All those are getting much easier right now. They will get the content much easier now. The platform is easier now. If you are performing deep learning related things, you've got Intel optimized TensorFlow, Intel optimized PyTorch, Intel Neural Compressor, and Model Zoo. All these are available for you, and you can pick up the corresponding kernel and you can start using any of the optimized libraries which I have told you. When you come to machine learning, I'll walk you through the scikit-learn with a demo right now. XGBoost also I can walk you through. These two are available, which are optimized, and they are going to yield you definite better results over the stock options. I repeat the term. Whenever you are using the pre-available existing option, it is called a stock option. If you are using the enhanced, improved, optimized version, it is called as patched version. We are going to give you the patched version, and you can use the patch version for scikit-learn, patch version for XGBoost. And data analytics, when you talk about, we have got Intel distribution for Modin, Intel distribution for OmniSci backend, both are available. When you come to Python, Python is most used by all of you. I'm sure about it. NumPy, SciPy, Numba, Pandas, Data Parallel Python, all these are optimized, and you get the best version for you. So this entire package is called Intel AI Analytics Toolkit. That's all. You can use any of them, and you can run all of them easily in the Intel Developer Cloud, whatever I have shown you. Demonstrations are available, samples are available, and techno materials are given to you in the Dev Cloud itself, which can be cloned also from the Git. I have shown you the procedure, and this is how the Intel AI Analytics Toolkit functions. Simple. Sir, do you get anything else, sir? I can share this slide with you where we have lot of case studies available with us with results, benchmarks, everything is available where we have used one API toolkits. base toolkits, the OpenVINO, the rendering toolkit, all these are presented here and you can go through. Bentley Motors is using our rendering toolkit for demonstrating their cars interiors and the exterior look. We've got so many examples like that which can definitely make you understand the power of one API. I'll share that data with you. Now, let me get into the Gen AI. This is something which is amazing, right? So Gen AI has attracted a lot of people, and Intel understands the importance of it. And I'm going to show you a couple of quick examples on Gen AI. We know what is machine learning. Machine learning will let you work on a particular set of data which are going to be automated completely, which are going to be built with the model, and the model will not require you to have any human intervention. And deep learning is slightly different, where it is going to use neurons, and whenever you use neurons, whenever you go with the usage of neuron, you call it deep learning. That will be mostly human behavioral exhibition from the model that you are building. And Gen AI comes inside the machine learning, deep learning together. It is an intersection, we can call it either. So it is very easy to understand Gen AI. Gen AI is going to be the subset of DL, which again is subset of ML. So generative AI is becoming really, really big. We've got two types of models. One is discriminative model, another one is generative model, as you know. Discriminative model is very important to understand. It is used for simple tasks like classification. I will train the model with a supervised based approach where labels will be used. I'll train the model. For an instance, I train my model with cat images and dog images. I feed an input of a cat image. Now it will tell me it is a cat. That's all. This is called discriminative model. But when you come to generative model, it's slightly different. I will train my system with cat image, but it will be able to generate cat images for me. It will generate another cat image. It will generate different varieties of cat images for me. And that's what is called generative AI. I use generative models to generate content, generate images, and that's through training that we give. Now, see that generative AI is a subset of AI where you can create new content, which is definitely based on the training. The process where learning happens from the training creates the content and it creates the statistical model fundamentally. And when you prompt, I'm going to talk about prompt engineering also. When you prompt your question, when you input your question, the generative AI utilizes the statistical model which is built in the previous stage and it will give you response. That's all. So what Gen AI use? What Gen AI does? Very simple. It generates content for you. With what? With the model you have built, and the model is built and trained with the data you have given. So it is based on what you have given, you will get the response. Very simple. Now, what are all the things that can come and fall under the Gen AI category? Images, audio, and natural language. Numbers, discrete, probability, or class will not come under Gen AI. Remember this is an interview question too. So you get images, audio, natural language, all those things coming under Gen AI. Now, LLM. This term is very important again. What is LLM? LLM is large language model. What is it? It is again artificial intelligence model which can generate human like text. We are going to generate human like content through the LLM. These models are built completely, mostly using deep learning techniques, and transformers are used. There are multiple transformers now available, like vision transformers. There are so many transformers available. You can use those transformers and build LLMs. The most important feature is that they will process and generate content that is mostly like human like content. So that's the most important thing. The LLMs are becoming famous because they are able to generate content like humans. So that's the best part of it. Now, why is it complex? Is it complex? Yes, LLM is definitely complex. The reason is simple. It is trained on massive amount of data. And so when you have a lot of data, you need to look into the grammar, the semantics, and it's going to be really tough to get a system up and running with this kind of data, with this kind of expectation. And we have to get the results which can support the content generation, the text generation. You may want translation to be done. You may want to understand even the sentiments, the question answering, the training part, the summarization part. All these will come in into picture. Now you must be aware of chat gpt. The chat gpt is using generally the generative pre-trained transformer which is called as gpt-3, and we are getting the results through the chat gpt's performance. There are millions of parameters. There are so many things that are used to train, and you get results which are really amazing. Now, there are two types of LLMs which are available. Please know all this. This is all very fundamental and very important. If you're not aware of it already, it's time that you learn it. Being computer science enthusiast, being a enthusiast particularly, I trust that you must learn this. There are two types of LLMs. One is base LLM, another one is instruction tuned LLM. The base LLM is like a fresh engineering student or fresh college student who comes in and joins the computer science department. If you ask him anything specific, he may not be able to give you reply, but he will tell you what computer science engineering or what the computer science department is all about. The overall picture will be there, but concise, specific answer might not be there. But when you come to the other side, if you see this, the instruction tuned LLMs are more tuned. They learn from the seniors, they learn from the teachers, they learn from the professors who are teaching them consistently. The environment is teaching them, so they become more tuned. That's called instruction tuned. Then when you ask him a question at third year or final year, he will be able to give you more experienced answer. He'll be able to give you more tuned answer. That's what is called instruction tuned LLM. Now we are getting into prompting. What is prompt? Very simple. Prompt is a question. You are asking me a question. You can ask the question in two ways. How are you? And how is your body? Both the questions are the same thing which you are trying to address, but one question may be offensive, one question may be very nice and very kind for me to take up further. Right. So a prompt is a question where you are throwing it to the chatbot or chat GPT kind of stuff, where you are throwing it and you are trying to get a result. You can use the prompt engineering, you can use the prompts to generate a simple thing like tell me a joke for the day, or you can even make the chat GPT or any those kind of tools to become your teacher. For an instance, you can ask the chat GPT to teach you English, and you can make it an English teacher. You can say that, hey, see, I'm going to learn English. Could you please help me correcting my mistakes, whatever I'm typing here? It will immediately tell you that, yes, I can assist you. So please understand, Gen AI is growing to the next level. Gen AI is not a threat to all of us. Gen AI is going to be supporting us. It will not take away our jobs. It cannot, definitely. It will support us, and you will gain, in fact, more jobs for all this, right? So prompts can be different type. Prompts can be varying in complexity. I'll show you a couple of very simple things which can be understood very easily. So see this, here I'm asking you a question, what is a prompt in LLM? This is a prompt, and here you can see that, excuse me, you are an English expert, you need to correct the grammar and vocabulary mistakes. You can ask me a question first. Now the chat GPT or any other system that you are having with LLM will become a teacher for you here, and here it will just throw you reply. So the prompting works based on, the reply comes based on how you are asking questions. So asking question is an art. Now here it really is very important. You should ask right questions. Now there are three types of prompting available. Zero shot prompting. I'll ask a question directly. I will not train the system. I will not give any example, no demonstrations, nothing. I'll just ask a direct question and it may give me a reply which I may be really happy about or may not be. Now, few shot prompting is the next one where I need to train the system. I will give context for the LLM based engine to understand what I'm trying to ask, and then I'll ask a question. I'll first introduce what I'm going to talk about, and if I ask a question further, it is called few shot prompting. I'm training you and I'm asking you a question. The next one is chain of thought. This is intermediate reasoning based stuff, which means I'm going to ask a question, but I'll make sure that I train the system properly with proper demonstrations already. I break the question into and answer into multiple smaller modules so that the system can understand better and can give me reply. So it is better over standard prompting. I'll just show you a simple example here. You can see that there is an example which is shown here. I'm not sure if you can see that. Now I'll zoom it. Now the standard prompting is here where you can see that Roger has 5 tennis balls. He buys 2 more cans of tennis balls. Each can has 3 tennis balls. How many tennis balls does he have? The answer is 11, and I use this for training the system. Now I ask another question to the system based on the answer and the input I have given earlier. The cafeteria had 23 apples. If they used 20 to make lunch and bought 6 more, how many apples do they have? The answer is 27, which is wrong because I have not trained the system properly with proper intermediate descriptions. The system failed to provide me an answer. Now, what I do is I make the training a little better, where you can see the chain of thought is coming into picture. For the same question, I give an answer in a better way. Roger had 5 balls, 2 cans of 3 tennis balls, each is 6 tennis balls now. 5 plus 6 is 11, the answer is 11. This is the way I train it. Now, the second question, the same question is thrown, and I get the right answer, which is 9. So, it is like you and me. When you prompt it with just a question and you expecting it to give a reply might not work. You need to break the prompt into multiple smaller descriptions, demonstrations, and then if you get a reply, that will be perfect. So remember it, this is a very important point. Now, generative AI has become so very important. See the way it is, the world famous most important photo editing software, and that has 43,000 employees with us. But Midjourney has only 11 employees, which can almost do everything that these 43,000 employees do. Does it mean that all these 43,000 will not have jobs? No. This 43,000 will still use the 11 employees which have created the Gen AI content, and they can enhance their work. It is going to be subordinate for you. Now I'm going to walk you through a couple of simple examples which will make you understand how generative AI related stuff can be done with Intel Developer Cloud. And I will give you some very easy to understand instances, and then I will take up questions from you. At times, if you keep your server launched for a long time, and if you're not using it, like what I did now, I've been talking, I did not use the cloud server for a long time, so it may ask you to restart. So I'm restarting the server right now. You could see that here. So don't worry, if you are not using it for a longer time, you will get it restarted. Now, this is the place where you can see that I have got all the training material and all these things available. This is available by default when you get into Intel Developer Cloud. When you get into machine learning using one API, you get this contents available for you, right? So please remember. Now, I will show you a very simple example where I have used Intel one data analytics library. I hope you can see the screen. This data analytics library has been used to now perform regression, classification, all these things with ease. The results are also available in front of you. You can go through it. I will give the link for the same thing, which is available in the Git. I have given the complete updated code for you in the Git. You can refer it later at your convenience, and that will be very easy for you to understand as well. Now, if you see this, I have installed the default scikit-learn, and I am using all these necessary pre-model installation stuff. This is all installed. Now I'm taking a data set which is called the fetal health data set. The data set is available here. This is a very common data set where I have the fetal health parameters. Now I'm going to build stuff with build model with OneDAL, which is going to help me in understanding, which is going to help me in understanding and deriving information and insights of the data. Now I use eSnull and to find out which are all the empty places. I create a data frame. Then I come and use the Intel sklearn. So you can see that here I am using 2 lines of code from sklearnx import patch sklearn. That is it. Instead of you using the traditional scikit-learn, we are using Intel sklearn, which is referred as Intel sklearnx here, and we are using the patch underscore sklearn thing. So once you do that, you will be able to use the complete facilities of one API, which has got Intel OneDAL into it, and you will be able to generate things. Now, all these are installation process which will happen. You can see that Intel extension for scikit-learn is enabled. So once you get this, you are using one API. That's all. What you need is only 2 lines, and the 2 lines of the code will get you the access to one API, and it's going to be very, very easy and simple for you. Now we have got, I am getting the first 5 things done through head. I have got model and accuracy defined here. Now I'm going to do the SVM. How do you do SVM? Very simple. From the sklearnx metrics, I need to import the classification report. Similarly, I'm using the patch sklearn, as you can see. Now svm.predict will get me the complete SVM stuff done, and SVM is presented and the results are available for you here with accuracy of 80%. Precision, recall, F1, all these are presented. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take up logistic regression now. From the sklearnx.linear model, I imported logistic regression, and I am using logistic regression. So I do rest of all are traditional. I don't change much things here. So rest of all are traditional, and you get the accuracy of 90.1%. And you can compare this accuracy with traditional way of doing things. That will be definite improvement when you are using the Intel optimized sklearn for it. Now we have used the Intel optimized sklearn, and that is highlighted even here. Now I'm going to KNN classifier, where I have imported it, and I'm using it the traditional way as whatever I used earlier, and I get the accuracy 98.3%, and rest of the parameters are also displayed. So this code can make you understand that whatever we are having in Intel in terms of one API libraries is very simple to use, and most importantly, this will not demand a lot of change in the code for you. Now XGBoost similarly We have got the XGBoost code available here. Only thing, as I told you, you need to do is you need to get the Intel optimized code for you to run. And this example is also available for you. And we are getting results very clearly available where mean squared error and R squared metric is presented for you. I cannot go through line by line for the want of time. I will give you this link. We can check it out later. And if you have any questions, you can always reach me out. I'll give you my email IDs. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the most wanted Gen AI content. Inside AI, all these contents are available. You may have to do a little bit of tuning here and there, but that's easy to do. Nothing very difficult. So I'm going to go ahead with text to image, image to image content generation with stable diffusion. First, I'll go ahead with text to image content generation. You are a creator, you are a writer, you are a designer, or you are going to work in graphical content generation. This is the easiest way to do. The complete modules are working here and it is given. I am going to use something called as PyTorch extension for Intel, and that is called, it is available here. You can see that PyTorch extension for Intel, and you can get that installed if it is not already installed with a simple step. And we are writing the code here, which can take the prompt from me. You can see that I'm going to give the prompt here. And with the prompt being given, it's very simple. With the prompt being given, the system will generate image for me. I'll run this code for you and I'll show you how exactly this is working. Now I'm going into step by step. This is pre-installation step. Now I have imported OS, imported random time warning and pathlib. All these are normal. And here I'm importing PyTorch. And most important point is I'm using Intel extension for PyTorch. It is imported as IPEX. So this is done. This may take a little bit of time. Don't worry, because all the installations have to go on. Now I am using the text to image model, which is a class which can help me in generating images based on your prompt. And the attributes that it accepts are which device you are going to run on. I am running it on PyTorch GPU. I am running it on GPU. What is the pipeline, the model pipeline? What is the data type that you are going to use will be all defined in this text to image model. Followed by that, I use load pipeline where loading will happen and parameters are defined there. And then I need to go ahead, optimize, and then finally I'll have to generate images. And this is the next step. So I'm running it here. It may take time. Just hold on. You can see that I may have to restart the kernel at times if there is no response, because so many people could be using in parallel. So in that case, you may have to restart. I have installed this successfully. Here it is all happening successfully. And now I can give this running instance. There could be some errors, maybe 1 second. Just restart the kernel if there are some errors, because globally many people are using it parallelly, and there can be some errors. And it may take time for you to get the results generated. There will be a column for you where you will be able to type in your prompt. You can see that here. The prompt has come. Now I'm going to say that a kid, this is the prompt I'm generating, a kid with a rose in hand. I'm just typing it. And what I want is 4 images to be generated. I'm clicking generate images. Now you can see that generating images is happening, and all these are with stable diffusion, which is run on Intel platform, and you will get output in few seconds. And this is really very easy to generate very creative images, and all the output will be available for you in front of you in seconds. And try this out. This can be your project as well. You can try to improve the quality, you can try to tune the model. All these things can happen. So there can be a time for model warm up, so please wait. And first time when it runs, it needs to. So you can see that here, a child, what did I give? A kid with rose in hand. So rose in hand, rose in hand, rose in hand. These are all previously generated. I generated some time back. A kid with rose in hand. Now can we try out different thing? I'll say that a kid on a black horse. Black horse. Generate images. When I click, it will be able to generate images for me. And how many ever images I ask, based on that, the time will be tuned slightly. It might be a a little time taking process for you if you are asking for 10-15 images. Maximum limit I think is 10 year. You'll have to try it out. I'm asking for 4 images by the way here. That's it. The images will be shown right now. What did I ask? I asked for a kid on a black horse, though it might not be very accurate. A kid on black horse, a kid with black horse, kid with black horse alone. So completed generating 4 images in 16.58 seconds. This is amazing, isn't it? This is something amazing. So you can also go ahead and generate images with another image as input. See this? I'll show you some simple instance. Same code, I just we modified something here and there. When I run it, I'll be able to show you, I believe. It may work fine. Just give me a few seconds. Where you can also send input as an image and text together, and you will be able to generate results. Input is not necessarily the text. Here we have converted the text to image. It is not necessarily the text alone. It can be image plus text is what I'm trying to convey. I'm running this model. It may take time. Just hold on. It is worth the wait. You should be getting the results right. You can see that here. Here I can give the image link followed by, for example, a man of age 30, for an instance. I'm generating 4 images. Generate images. When I click, I have used image plus a man of age 30 as an input. So it will be able to generate model. So generative AI is something which need not just be text to image or text to content generation thing. It can also have text plus image together. And that is all done as well here. So I can see that this is very simple and easy to run. Based on the number of images you ask for, it will generate the results and it will be available. You can see that. So this is with input that I have given along with the link that I have given, which has the image. So this images, if you see, I can show you how exactly this looks like as well. When I took the image which has been given in the Git, this is the image. So this image is used to generate new content which is having the impact. This image, the previous one I had is all a painting, and now I'm able to generate image with input as a text as well as input as an image. So we are combining both. We can even enhance the prompt. Auto enhancing the prompt is allowed. So please have a try. Please try this out. This is all available online for you. You need to just get access to the Intel Developer Cloud, get the Jupyter Notebook launched, and inside that, in training, you have a module called as AI, and inside AI you have Gen AI, and there you have all this content, right? I can share these details with you. I'll just drop an email with you so that you can have a look at it at your convenience. And this is very easy. Was it interesting? I need response now. Yes, I've shown you a couple of very good demos, and all of them are easy to use as well. It is not really very tough. The codes, if you see, this has become like a low code platform. You did not have to code much actually. So I walked you through the code. It is about maybe 80 to 90 lines of code that's already available. And you can modify the code right now. You can modify the prompts right now, and that will be really very easy for you. So it's not going to take a lot of time. Was it exciting? Can I have some response from the participants? Because I have been now taking for past 1.5 hours almost. So I need some response. Was it interesting, folks? Can I have some response, please? Thank you. Thank you. I am hearing that. Thanks, boys. You have real good energy. Now I'll show you one other example where we have used Intel 1AP completely to build a solution which is useful for supermarkets. Just see the result, just see the solution. You will automatically understand. It's not a rocket science. It's very easy to understand. Have a look at it.
Hello. Our system has got two functionalities. The first one is to get the components and the objects in the rack of a supermarket to be identified perfectly. 100% accuracy is what is aimed at, and we are very close to it. For example, if the rack has got Ariel, Tide, Pampers, Whisper, or anything, it will be recognized perfectly, and this is 100% real time. And the accuracy is really appreciable, and we get close to 100% in our testing. The second module is very simple, but yet very effective. We can find out the empty slots in each rack, and we can alert you. Also, people have the tendency to misplace things. For example, I pick up Tide, and when I go along, I find another product which is very interesting. So I drop Tide right there in the place which I found another product. I do not keep it in the same place from where I lifted it. I mean, Tide did not go back to the Tide shelf. Instead, it went to a different shelf. We can identify that right now. We can identify the empty slots. We can identify the misplaced components also and alert you. This will help people in arranging things back immediately so that it will look nice as well as it will help the people who are buying it. Let's see the first demo initially, and then we will go to the second functionality demo shortly. For the first demo, we are launching.
I understand through Ilakya that the voice is feeble. So let me give you the voiceover instead of the system giving it. I am running the code right now.
Voice is very feeble, Sriram.
Yeah. Now can you hear
Now,
me? Can you hear me now?
yes, now it's
Yeah. Now, if you see that the system is trained with images of 10 different products from Procter and Gamble, and all these are 99% accurate. Trust me, a machine learning model cannot be 100% perfect. If somebody tells you that way, it is wrong. It cannot be 100% perfect. So now you can see that all the aerials are properly identified, irrespective of the color, package, boxing type, anything, it will be identified. Now we will be able to see if the aerial rack is completely occupied or if the aerial rack is empty. If it is empty, we can refill it. If it is full, we need to give offers like buy one get one free, 10% discount, something like that can be given. Now the aerial is done. Similarly, any product can be trained, and all these are done with Intel Developer Cloud and one API. So this is completely done with that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate you a very simple thing where we will identify if there are empty racks, if there are racks where items are misplaced and misarranged. You can see that here we have Tide. This is all meant for Tide rack only. One slot is empty. You can see that there is an empty slot there, and all the items are tied, so there is nothing misplaced. If I keep any other item into the tied shelf, it is called misplacement. It is misarrangement. It might really hurt the business because people may not want to see different items into their rack. It is not a right thing. Particularly, some supermarkets are very particular about maintaining and arranging things properly. Now I'm keeping a different thing out here. You can see that I'm keeping Pampers, and misplaced item is Pampers. There are no empty slots now. Is it nice? This is real time. This is absolutely real time. This is done with my laptop camera. Trust me, we have taken about 7,000 to 8,000 pictures of all these products. We have trained the system by augmenting it completely on API used, and it's so powerful. Now I'm going to pick up, that's my hand. So I'm going to pick up the Tide. The empty slot is one. Still misplaced is Pampers. So you can see that that's very nicely working. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another item, and I'll show you if the empty slots is getting increased by one more number. We'll have to see if it works that way. I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to pick Pampers, so you can see that empty slots are true. Now I'm picking up the third one. Empty slots are 3. I'm going to pick the final one also, and it will be 4. That's it. This is very interesting and easy to do, right? So another thing I'm going to show you, we can measure the dimension of any project so easily with Intel distribution for Python, and we have run it in Intel Developer Cloud. See the way I'm doing it. I am measuring dimension of a pen drive, and I'm making a note of it. I am just measuring dimensions of different objects. I'm measuring dimensions of my car key. I'm making a note of it. You can see that that's for your reference. The length, breadth. I'm now having a hard drive in hand. I'm measuring it. And a remote. I'm measuring the dimensions, length, breadth. A box, length, breadth. You can make a note if you want. And now we have written an algorithm that can measure the dimensions of all these things with ease without you having to do it. This is done with a reference object. The 1 rupee coin is the reference object. Now you can see that pen drive's dimension is aptly presented for you, and that will go to an Excel sheet. I'm picking it. Now I'm keeping the next item, the key, where you can see that it's aptly presented as well, and the data goes on to the Excel sheet. And the next one is going to be the hard drive. Dimensions with even the logos can be obtained if you want. I have ignored that score, but if you want, we can get that as well. So now comes the box. sorry, remote. You can see that that's also working fine. And further comes the box, which is the final one. So all these are done and dusted with completely with one API, and we have used Intel Developer Cloud for deploying and running all this stuff. You can see that this is absolutely working fine. This is done with a very simple webcam. You do not have to really go around fetching resources to build all these kind of simple projects, but I'm sure you will have a better idea. But still, you can use the existing projects, existing setup, and you can get the complete implementation done with ease. That's all. You will get all these things exported into the Excel sheet, as you can see here. Easy, right? That's it. I'm almost done. I'll have to now share the details of my contact so that if somebody has got any question, they can reach me out, or any inputs, any requests. I'll be very glad to assist you. So please make a note of it. Sriram.chris.vasudevan@intel.com. I'm very active in LinkedIn. So you can reach me through LinkedIn if you want. And I have a YouTube channel where I teach all this stuff. So go ahead, see to that. And if you like it, learn from that as well. The cloud registration process is start, and I have given the link in the chat already. I'll anyways copy paste all these things into the chat as well for you to access it later. I know some of you may take photos, so please take a photograph if you want. And I'll be very glad to take people as student ambassadors for Intel. If you are in third year or below, I can consider you for Intel student ambassadorship. If you are interested, please reach me through. I'll let you know the guidelines. Once again, thank you very much. It was a long session, so thank you very much for all your patient listening. And I should thank all the coordinators, starting from Ilakia ma'am for getting this done. Thank you, Ilakia, for giving me this great opportunity. I'm highly obliged and thankful to all the team which has done this greatest of the work. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sriram. Thank you so much for your insights and invaluable presentation. It means a lot to us, and all our students got very good exposure towards Intel on API. We are really thankful for accepting our invitation and being part of it. It's a long workshop, as you mentioned. We are really grateful for that. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Students, if you have any questions,
Ask the students to register for the developer cloud, and in case they have any difficulty, they can always reach me.
sure, we'll just share them all the details in the cloud.
Sure.
So they'll get back to you. Thank you. Thanks a lot. We'll circulate
Any questions there?
They can register. Yes. Do you have any questions? Yes. Yeah. Please pass the mic.
Yes, I'm audible, I guess. Yeah, I'm Bennington here.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So you have shown a demo on logistic regression, that the base implementation of logistic regression gave accuracy of about 93%, but the optimized one, it improved by another 5%, and it was about 98%. Right. So where can I find the true implementation of the optimized version of logistic regression?
No, I did not show you the comparison of logistic regression normally and with one API. I have shown you first the SVM, then logistic regression, then KNN. So there are three different implementations. So I did not compare. So when you want to run it, you can run the normal thing followed by Intel implementation. You will get a definite difference, and you can spot it yourself. So there will be at least 10 to 15% difference in terms of accuracy, as well as the execution time, right? That's most important for any software. When you run your code, you have to be really fast. So you can find the difference there as well. Use time for understanding how much time you need.
Yeah, it is really surprising. Yeah, there is good level of optimization is achieved. But my question is, where can I really find out
all these are available
what sort
in the GitHub.
of improvements being done?
All these are available in the GitHub. I have already shared the link in the chat, so you can take it from the Git, and it is all openly available.
Okay.
So you need to just go to the.
Is it available in the form of paper publications by Intel?
No. Intel doesn't publish that way. Intel has made a very good Git contribution where training materials, details, and stats, all those things are made available in the Git itself. You can go there, look into the Git content, and you can run the code also by testing the same.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Glad you asked a question. Any other questions?
Shemi?
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you, Sriram, for wonderful and insightful workshop. Actually, I
Good
have
afternoon.
one quick question. The Intel one, actually, there are many packages what we saw in, especially when we're working with the Python. There are several releases. So there is one release and then another release and so on, the versions of the packages. And many of them won't support or the format would change from one package to the another. And this kind of a thing we usually follow in the Anaconda or some kind of environment. I think you are. So does it also a problem in the Intel one, or it is resolved
No.
in a much better way?
No, Intel. Thank you, sir. That's a very valid question. Intel will not have that issue because we are just one version below the traditional Python release. For an instance, if Python is in 3.17, we are 3.16. So we make all the things updated properly. And when you get into the developer cloud, the Python kernel that you are using is fully updated. So there is no problem about getting the upgrades, or it won't affect your previous code. Everything is taken care of, and that issue will not come here with Intel Developer Cloud. Even when you are using the standalone Intel Python for distribution, right, or Python or TensorFlow or whatever, they are all properly updated, and it will not have the issue that you are citing, sir. Try it out, and if you find anything, let us know, sir. We will immediately address it.
And this is free for using, like academic or
Yes,
is
sir.
free for everything.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
open and free.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes. Wonderful.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So thank you very much. I think I did not bore you people. It's quite a long session. Sitting for 120 minutes is not so easy. So it's like time that I need to fly to Dubai from Bangalore, hopefully. So thank you very much. Next time for the conference, I'll probably come in person. This time, because of many commitments, I could not fly. Next time, I'll definitely come, and thank you very much for the invite. Thank you, professors, for sitting all there. And once again, thank you all students. Love you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks a lot.